The human engineer, Alex, had never seen a ship like this before. From the moment he stepped onto the flagship of the alien queen, his senses were overwhelmed. The corridors were not made of simple metal or stone. They pulsed with a strange energy, and the walls seemed alive, almost breathing. Holographic lights shifted across surfaces, forming patterns that made Alex feel dizzy and amazed at the same time. He had worked on countless ships in the human fleet, but none like this. None that felt like it had a mind of its own. He had been sent here because of his reputation for fixing things no one else could. But this was different. The ship wasn't just broken. Its queen, Liara, had been badly injured in a recent battle, and now her armor, a living chest plate made from an alien alloy, had dents and fractures that threatened to compromise her safety. Alex's job was simple in description but nearly impossible in execution. Fix the queen's armor. Alex stepped cautiously down a narrow corridor, every sense alert. Alien symbols glowed softly on the walls, and small drones zipped past, their movements precise and almost curious as they scanned him. He had been warned to be respectful, to follow every instruction carefully, and most importantly, never to touch the queen unless he had her permission. That permission, he reminded himself, he already had. She had requested him specifically. When he entered the medical bay, he saw her. Liara was larger than any human he had met, and her presence filled the room even while she sat still on a hovering medical platform. Her skin shimmered in shades of pale gold, and her eyes, a deep violet, observed him with calm intensity. Her armor had a noticeable dent across the chest plate, and faint traces of blood shimmered through the cracks. The energy from the ship seemed to hum more intensely around her, responding to her injured state. Alex swallowed and took a deep breath. "Your Majesty," he said, keeping his voice steady despite the nerves twisting in his stomach. "I'll do my best to repair the armor without causing more damage." Liara's eyes softened slightly. "Careful," she said, her voice melodic but firm. "That part is sensitive." Alex nodded, trying to mask how much that comment had unsettled him. Sensitivity in this case wasn't personal, it was mechanical. But the way she said it made the room feel even more charged. He moved closer, his hands hovering over the fractured chest plate. He could feel the energy of the armor pulsing under his fingers even before touching it, a vibration that was almost alive. He worked slowly, examining the dents and fractures. The alloy was unlike any material he had ever handled. It seemed to respond to touch, flexing slightly as if it were aware of the pressure he applied. One wrong move could make it worse, or worse still, injure Liara. Alex's mind raced as he considered the best approach. He pulled a small set of tools from his pack, human-made but adapted for alien technology, and began carefully probing the damaged sections. Liara remained still, her eyes on him, observing every movement. Despite her imposing presence, she trusted him. That trust made Alex feel a mix of pride and weighty responsibility. He had fixed ships and machines before, but never had his work been tied so closely to the life of someone so powerful. He reminded himself to breathe, to focus, and to trust his skills. Hours seemed to pass in minutes as he worked. He adjusted a fractured plate here, aligned a sensitive connector there. The armor's energy responded to his touch, stabilizing slightly as if it recognized his careful handling. Liara spoke occasionally, offering a warning or a subtle suggestion, not out of doubt but to guide him. "Slightly more pressure there," she said once, and he adjusted immediately. "Now retract slowly." "Yes, like that." During the repair, Alex learned more about her people. Liara spoke of her fleet, the countless star systems she protected, and the constant threat from rival factions that hunted her. She had fought wars that humans could barely imagine, and yet she allowed herself to be vulnerable in front of him. Alex realized that bravery was not just in combat, it was in trust, in allowing someone else to help when you were strongest. As he worked, Alex also noticed the subtle intelligence in the design of her armor. Each section seemed to anticipate movements, protect vital areas, and even react to energy signatures around her. It was more than a shield. It was a living companion. He marveled at the ingenuity behind it and felt honored that his human hands could interact with such an advanced creation. Suddenly, a small alarm blared in the corner of the room. Red lights flashed along the corridors. Alex's heart skipped a beat. "What's happening?" he asked, his hand still on the armor. Liara's expression remained calm, but her eyes narrowed. "Saboteurs," she said. "They have boarded the ship. We may not have much time." Alex's mind raced. He had come here to repair armor, not to fight off intruders. But as he looked at Liara, poised and commanding despite her injury, he realized that this was exactly the moment he had been preparing for. Humans were clever, adaptable, and fearless when it counted. He could help. "Then we work quickly," he said, his voice steadier than he felt. He moved with precision, finishing the most critical adjustments to the chest plate while keeping an eye on the flashing lights. Liara rose slightly, testing her movements in the newly repaired armor. It held firm, energy flowing smoothly across the sensitive areas. As they prepared to move out of the medical bay, Liara glanced at him. "You have skill and courage," she said. "Not many humans would dare do what you just did." Alex felt a surge of pride but kept his focus. "Thank you, Your Majesty. Let's keep it that way. I don't plan to let anyone harm you while I'm here." The corridors outside were alive with tension. The sounds of alarms, distant footsteps, and the hum of the ship's energy filled the air. Alex followed Liara, ready to adjust the armor in real time if needed. The saboteurs could strike at any moment, but he felt a strange sense of confidence. He had been trained for emergencies, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. Yet with Liara beside him, relying on his skills, he felt capable of meeting the challenge. As they moved, Alex noticed more of the ship's alien technology. Walls shifted subtly to create paths, energy fields guided their way, and drones moved in patterns that seemed almost intelligent. It was chaotic but organized, deadly but beautiful. He realized that he was not just a mechanic here, he was a participant in a living ecosystem of technology and strategy. Liara paused near a junction, her eyes scanning the hallways. "They are trying to separate us," she said. "Do not underestimate them." Alex nodded, gripping the edges of her chest plate as they advanced. He adjusted the armor slightly, ensuring it would absorb any impact if needed. The repair held, and he felt the energy pulse in response to his touch, a sign that the armor was ready to function under stress. Suddenly, a corridor lit up with hostile energy signatures. Saboteurs were approaching. Alex's hands moved instinctively, adjusting the armor for maximum protection. Liara took a step forward, her presence commanding and fierce despite her wound. She was a queen, a warrior, and now Alex realized she was also a teacher in her own way, showing him how courage could be measured not just in fighting, but in focus, patience, and precision. The saboteurs hesitated, seeing Liara in her repaired armor. Alex's quick adjustments had ensured she could move freely, strike decisively, and defend herself. In that moment, he understood the true meaning of his work. It was not just about metal or energy fields. It was about enabling bravery, survival, and leadership. The saboteurs retreated for now, sensing they had underestimated both the queen and the human at her side. Liara glanced at Alex, her violet eyes reflecting a mixture of relief and acknowledgement. "You have done well," she said quietly. "The armor and I owe you a debt." Alex felt a flush of pride but remained humble. "I'm just doing my job," he said. Yet even as he spoke, he knew that this moment was different. He was not just a human engineer on an alien ship. He was a participant in history, a bridge between species, and a testament to what humans could do when skill, courage, and heart combined. As they moved deeper into the ship, preparing for whatever came next, Alex realized that his life had changed forever. He had entered the flagship as a mechanic, but he was leaving this part of the journey as someone who had earned the trust of a queen, navigated alien technology, and faced danger with unwavering focus. The cosmos felt larger, stranger, and more exciting than ever. And as Liara whispered again, "Careful, that part's sensitive," Alex smiled to himself. He knew that in the universe full of threats, this human had the courage, precision, and ingenuity to rise to any challenge. The corridors of the alien flagship seemed even more alive now. Every step Alex took was met with subtle shifts in the walls, soft pulses of energy, and the occasional hum of a hovering drone. The earlier alarm had passed, but the tension remained. Saboteurs could strike again at any moment, and the ship system seemed to whisper warnings only perceptible to those who were truly attentive. Alex felt a strange thrill in this, the kind that came from being out of one's comfort zone, yet fully in command of one's skills. Liara moved ahead of him, graceful despite the lingering pain from her recent injury. The repaired chest plate responded to her every motion, flexing naturally, almost as if it had recognized Alex's touch and appreciated it. She glanced over her shoulder at him, her violet eyes scanning the corridors. "We must reach the control chamber," she said. "From there, we can detect the saboteurs and neutralize them before they cause serious damage." Alex nodded. "Lead the way. I'll be ready to adjust the armor if needed." As they moved, Alex noticed the subtle complexity of the ship's architecture. Unlike human ships, which were often rigid and compartmentalized, this vessel flowed like a river. Corridors bent and curved as if they had no fixed geometry. Rooms shifted slightly in size, and doors didn't just open, they glided, sensing the intention of those approaching. He marveled at the intelligence embedded in every inch of the ship. It was alive, and it worked with its queen. While navigating a particularly winding corridor, Alex adjusted a small section of Liara's chest plate. A minor crack he hadn't noticed before responded immediately to his touch, realigning itself seamlessly. Liara's eyes flickered with appreciation. "You have a steady hand," she said. "Not many humans could handle this level of precision." Alex smiled faintly, feeling a rush of pride, but he stayed focused. "It's just about understanding the material," he said. "It reacts to touch, and you have to respect that." They reached a junction where several hallways converged. Energy readings on the ship's interface showed multiple moving signatures, saboteurs, likely armed and cautious. Liara's expression became serious. "They will try to separate us again," she warned. "Stay close." Alex moved alongside her, ready to react. His mind raced as he considered strategies. He could help Liara navigate the ship while simultaneously preparing for any sudden attacks. Humans were often underestimated by alien species for our apparent physical fragility, but our adaptability, quick thinking, and ingenuity could tip the scales in critical moments. This was one of those moments. Suddenly, a hatch on the left hissed open, and 3 saboteurs emerged, their weapons glowing with alien energy. Liara raised her repaired armor defensively, and Alex instinctively adjusted the sensitive areas to absorb potential impacts. The saboteurs hesitated for a moment, likely surprised by the Queen's presence and the armor's sudden resilience. Liara moved with fluid precision, each step calculated. She deflected one energy strike with her forearm, the armor absorbing the blow without damage. Alex, watching closely, adjusted a joint on the chest plate, ensuring that the energy flow remained stable. Sparks flew from the attackers' weapons as their attacks bounced harmlessly off her armor. "You're good at this," Liara said quietly, not as a compliment but as acknowledgement of his role. Her trust in him was evident, and that trust made Alex's heart pound with a mixture of pride and responsibility. He realized that this was not just about repairing armor. It was about survival, teamwork, and understanding alien technology in real time. The saboteurs retreated when more energy readings indicated reinforcements approaching. Liara and Alex moved quickly, using the ship's shifting corridors to their advantage. Alex began to notice patterns in the ship's responses, almost like it anticipated their moves. Every turn and bend seemed designed to confuse intruders while guiding them safely to their goal. The synergy between the Queen and her ship was remarkable. As they neared the control chamber, Alex had a moment to observe Liara more closely. Despite her fearsome reputation and commanding presence, she was vulnerable in ways that few had seen. Her armor, while powerful, relied on precision, care, and understanding, qualities Alex had provided, and she had allowed him into that space of trust. That realization gave him a profound respect for her, not just as a queen, but as a being capable of judgment, strategy, and emotional intelligence. Inside the control chamber, the layout was even more complex. Holographic interfaces floated in the air, responding to gestures, voice commands, and even subtle eye movements. Liara's hand hovered above a series of glowing symbols, activating defensive protocols and scanning for intruders. Alex, standing nearby, adjusted her armor once more, ensuring that it could withstand energy spikes and sudden movements. "Your knowledge of human engineering has given me a new perspective," Liara said. "I did not expect a human to integrate so seamlessly with our technology." Alex shrugged, feeling a mix of humility and pride. "I learn fast when lives are at stake," he said, "and your armor is incredible. It just needs someone who respects how it works." Liara's eyes softened briefly, then sharpened as new energy signatures appeared. "They are coming again, this time in greater numbers." The control chamber's defenses activated automatically, but the saboteurs were relentless. Alex worked quickly, adjusting energy conduits and reinforcing the sensitive joints of her chest plate. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and the chamber shook slightly as energy weapons collided with defensive shields. Every adjustment he made kept Liara safe, allowing her to focus on commanding her forces and striking with precision. During the chaos, Alex noticed a new pattern in the saboteurs' attacks. They were trying to predict Liara's movements, exploiting potential weaknesses in her armor. He realized that small, subtle adjustments could make a significant difference. With careful timing, he manipulated the armor's energy flow, redirecting attacks harmlessly into the floor and walls. Liara's violet eyes met his briefly, and she gave a small nod of acknowledgement. "You are more than just a mechanic," she said. "You are a strategist in your own right." Alex felt a surge of confidence. This was no longer just about repair, it was about partnership. Humans were often underestimated in interstellar conflicts, thought of as fragile or primitive, but moments like this proved otherwise. With courage, quick thinking, and skill, they could be indispensable allies, even to queens of other species. The battle raged on, but slowly, the saboteurs' attempts were thwarted. The control chamber's defenses, combined with Liara's leadership and Alex's adjustments, created a synergy that overwhelmed the attackers. One by one, the energy readings of the intruders disappeared as they retreated or were incapacitated. When the chamber finally fell silent, Liara exhaled and looked at Alex. Her expression was unreadable for a moment, then softened. "You have done more than repair armor," she said quietly. "You have ensured my survival and the safety of my ship. That is a rare quality, human." Alex felt a warmth in his chest, a mixture of relief, pride, and respect. "I just did what I could," he said, "but I couldn't have done it without your guidance." Liara's eyes studied him for a long moment. "Perhaps humans are capable of more than I imagined," she said finally. "Your presence here, it changes my perception of your kind." Alex realized the depth of that statement. Humans had always been underestimated by alien species, often dismissed as weak or simple. Yet here he was, a single human, making a difference in the survival of a queen and her flagship. The thought filled him with a quiet pride, and a renewed sense of purpose. As they moved back through the corridors, ensuring no further threats remained, Alex continued to adjust her chest plate subtly. Each movement was precise, protecting her while maintaining the flexibility and responsiveness of the armor. Liara's trust in him was evident, and he understood the responsibility that came with it. This was not just about metal or energy. It was about lives, strategy, and the potential for a human to rise above expectations in a universe that often doubted them. By the time they returned to the medical bay, the immediate threat had passed. The repaired armor hummed gently, energy flowing smoothly, and Liara tested her movements with ease. She turned to Alex, her expression calm but filled with acknowledgement. "You have proven that humans are not just survivors," she said. "You are valuable allies, perhaps even more than that." Alex felt a mixture of pride and humility. "I'm honored, Your Majesty," he said. "I've learned a lot from you as well. Not just about armor or technology, but about courage and leadership." Liara's violet eyes held his for a moment longer, then softened with what could only be called approval. "The universe is vast," she said. "And sometimes it takes the least expected individuals to tip the balance. You, human, are one of those individuals." Alex knew that this moment would stay with him forever. He had entered the flagship as a mechanic, tasked with repairing armor. But he was leaving this part of his journey as someone who had earned the trust of a queen, navigated alien technology under fire, and proven that human ingenuity and courage could shine even among the stars. As he prepared his tools and checked the armor one last time, Liara spoke softly, a hint of warmth in her voice. "Careful, every part is sensitive, but you have handled them well." Alex smiled faintly. "I will always be careful," he said. And in that promise, he felt a connection that transcended species, a recognition that in the vast universe, humanity could hold its own, even in the most alien and dangerous of circumstances. The flagship was quiet now, but Alex knew it was the calm before a storm. The saboteurs might have retreated, but the enemy was still out there, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Liara's chest plate hummed gently as she walked beside him, the repaired sections glowing with soft pulses of energy. Alex had double-checked every joint and every energy conduit, ensuring that it could withstand anything the enemy might throw at it. Still, the tension in the air reminded him that this was far from over. Liara led him to the central command deck. The room was vast, lined with panels and holographic displays that shimmered with star maps, fleet positions, and energy readings. Drones hovered silently, their sensors sweeping the surroundings. "We must prepare for a direct assault," Liara said, her voice calm but commanding. "Our fleet can hold them for only so long. We need to be ready to respond instantly." Alex nodded, moving to adjust the armor once more. Even after hours of repairs, he felt the need to ensure that every section was functioning perfectly. The chest plate wasn't just protection, it was a part of Liara connected to her energy and reflexes. Any mistake could endanger her life. As he worked, Liara spoke, her tone quiet but deliberate. "I have never seen a human work like this. You understand the armor not just as a tool but as a living extension of my body. That is rare." Alex felt a small swell of pride but kept his focus. "It's about observing, feeling, and responding," he said, "just like your ship. Everything here seems alive, so it makes sense that the armor would be the same." Suddenly, the ship shook violently. Energy pulses surged through the corridors as an alarm blared across the flagship. Enemy fighters had breached the outer defenses, and their weapons were targeting the ship directly. Liara's eyes narrowed as she activated her shields, the chest plate glowing brighter in response. Alex moved closer, adjusting the sensitive areas to handle the sudden energy spike. "Careful," Liara said, her voice sharp. "The core conduit is exposed. Too much pressure and it could destabilize." Alex's hands worked with precision, directing the armor's energy flow to reinforce the vulnerable sections. Sparks flew, and the room shook again as energy blasts hit the outer hull. The ship's living systems pulsed in response, almost as if it were aware of the battle outside and cooperating with Alex and Liara to survive. Through the chaos, Alex noticed the enemy fighters were not just attacking randomly. They were coordinated, trying to exploit potential weaknesses in the flagship's defenses. He realized that the success of the Queen, and perhaps the survival of the fleet, depended on his ability to respond quickly, adapt, and anticipate attacks. Liara moved through the command deck with precision, issuing commands to her crew while Alex adjusted the armor in real time. Each movement, each adjustment was critical. The chest plate absorbed direct hits, redirected energy flows, and maintained stability even under extreme stress. Alex marveled at how well the armor worked, and how much the Queen relied on him to keep it functioning. Suddenly, a massive energy surge struck the deck. The shields flickered, and a section of the floor ignited with energy discharge. Alex reacted immediately, stabilizing the armor and redirecting excess energy away from Liara's vital sections. Her eyes met his, and for a brief moment there was an unspoken acknowledgement. They were partners in this battle. The enemy fighters pressed harder, their strikes more precise. Liara engaged them directly, her movements graceful and deadly. She dodged, parried, and struck with energy blades, each motion enhanced by the armor's responsiveness. Alex adjusted the armor to accommodate her movements, ensuring she could continue fighting without hindrance. "Your timing is perfect," Liara said between commands. "You anticipate what I need before I even act." Alex focused harder, realizing that this was more than repair work. He was now part of the Queen's combat system, an essential element in her ability to survive and command. The human ability to think, adapt, and improvise complemented the alien technology perfectly. The battle reached its climax when a massive enemy warship appeared on the sensors, directing a concentrated energy beam at the flagship. The shield strained and the energy pulse threatened to overwhelm the armor. Liara's chest plate glowed intensely as she braced for the impact. Alex worked frantically, rerouting energy, reinforcing vulnerable sections, and ensuring that the sensitive areas would hold. The beam struck and the flagship shuddered violently. Sparks and energy arcs filled the command deck, and alarms blared relentlessly. Alex held the armor steady, guiding the energy away from Liara's vital points. The chest plate flexed, bent, and absorbed the strike, barely holding under the immense pressure. Liara's voice cut through the chaos. "Now, focus on the core conduit." Alex redirected all remaining energy into the most sensitive section, stabilizing it just as another strike hit. The armor held, energy flowing seamlessly, and Liara's movements remained unhindered. With the armor functioning perfectly, she could strike decisively. She activated the flagship's counterattack, directing energy pulses at the enemy warship. The enemy struggled against the combined might of the Queen's ship and her flawless armor. Blasts ricocheted, energy shields clashed, and the flagship responded like a living being, guided by the Queen and augmented by Alex's precise adjustments. The battle turned in their favor, the enemy retreating as they realized they were outmatched. After the fight, the flagship was quiet again, but the tension lingered. Liara lowered her guard slightly, exhaustion evident in her stance. Alex approached, checking the armor one last time. Every section was stable, energy flows smooth, and the chest plate's sensitive areas had endured the worst the enemy could throw at them. "You did it," Liara said quietly, her voice a mixture of relief and admiration. "Without your skill and timing, I could not have survived that assault." Alex felt a warm sense of accomplishment. "It was a team effort," he said. "Your leadership and strategy made it possible for me to help." Liara studied him for a long moment, her expression unreadable, then nodded. "Perhaps humans are not as fragile as I once thought," she said. You have proven that ingenuity, courage, and focus can be as powerful as any weapon or armor." Alex smiled, feeling the weight of her words. He had entered this flagship as a mechanic, a human among aliens, underestimated and unsure. He was leaving as someone who had made a real difference in the survival of a queen and her fleet. Humanity, he realized, had a place even in the most dangerous reaches of the cosmos. As they moved to inspect the rest of the ship, Liara placed a hand on the edge of her chest plate, her fingers brushing over the repaired sections. "Careful," she said softly, a hint of warmth in her voice. "These parts are sensitive, but you handled them with skill." Alex nodded, feeling a deep sense of respect for her trust. "I will always be careful," he said. And in that simple promise, he understood the bond that had formed between them. Not just human and alien, but partners facing the vast, uncertain dangers of the universe together. The flagship hummed around them, alive and alert, ready to respond to any threat. And Alex realized, as he looked at Liara, that humans could do more than survive. They could excel, adapt, and become indispensable even in worlds far beyond their own. For the first time, he felt that humanity's potential was not limited by the stars themselves. With courage, ingenuity, and trust, they could face anything, even an entire galaxy. And together, human and queen, they had proven it. As the lights of the flagship pulsed gently, Alex adjusted the final energy conduit of the chest plate and stepped back. Liara's eyes met his, and a silent acknowledgement passed between them. The battle had been won, the queen was safe, and humanity had shown its worth. And for Alex, that was more than enough.